Thank you, Peg. And I love the theme of contradictions because without contradictions, none of us would write fiction. Because that's what character-based fiction, at least in my mind, is about. It's about the contradictory nature of human nature. In class, whenever a student says, but the character acted inconsistently, I'm always like, yeah, it's a good thing. So I'm going to be also contrarian, and I'm not going to read from my most recent book. I just got off tour and I'm kind of tired of reading from it. I decided to read from a book in progress. So, and it's also about contradictions. It's about a young woman who gets pulled into a relationship that corrupts her. So I'm going to read just the beginning of it. It's called, the book is tentatively called Songs for Dead Children, which, as some of you undoubtedly know, is the name of a song cycle by Mahler. Here's how it begins. I'm kneeling by the side of Route 84, 500 yards west of the old San Gregorio store, within spitting distance of the Pacific Ocean, tending the roadside memorial that's been here for nearly 100 years, a small wooden cross, a teddy bear and a companion stuffed rabbit, and always fresh flowers. A child died on the road here somehow a long time ago, whether in an accident involving an early automobile or an unfortunate fall from a horse or wagon. No one alive knows. I've asked around, but people just shrug. A secret society to which I belong tends the site, keeps the flowers fresh, and replaces the teddy bear and the rabbit when they become too wretched from the rain and sun. We're a community that mourns, together yet separate. This memorial isn't the only one on Route 84. The road is hazardous, twisting as it snakes up the mountains that overlook Silicon Valley and then heaves over the summit and down through the redwoods onto the California coastal plain. Cars as well as bicycles and motorcycles go too fast around the blind curves. They crash into redwood trees, plunge off precipices, run headlong into deer. Drink is frequently involved, fatalities galore. It's become a bit of a tradition for people around here to put up these crosses and leave flowers at these sites of conflagration and death. Most of these homemade shrines don't last more than a couple of months before being vanquished by the elements. People lose interest. The memories fade, the urge to honor the dead dissipates. I don't approve. I've seen death. I've smelt its breath. You can't and shouldn't forget such things. 7 months ago, after an all-night vigil in Oklahoma, I closed my mother's mouth, held it shut so her face didn't freeze into an unsightly gape. We've been warned by the funeral director to do this immediately after her last breath. He didn't want to have to break her jawbone to make her presentable for the viewing. It's heavy stuff. I mean that literally. The weight of your mother's chin in your palm, the upward pressure you exert to bring her lips together, the muffled click as her teeth meet. These are sensations you will remember forever. You hold the jaw in place for 5 long minutes, then you say a quick prayer, although you're not a believer, and release, and to your relief, the mouth remains shut. Your mother will have nothing more to say now. You more or less successfully repress the impulse to laugh. The face was still warm. To caress a face is an intimate act, an intimacy she denied you when alive. This thought does something to you. You decide you've had enough. You leave the room, change your plane ticket, and go back to California early, skipping the wake and funeral. I adopted this shrine in recompense for that and other transgressions. I passed it numerous times before finally stopping, curious about a grief so fresh that someone placed fresh flowers here twice or even thrice weekly. That's when I saw the date, October 18th, 1917. The cross is white, and that too is constantly refreshed with new paint, but you can still read the darling carved into it. Whose darling? A mother, I imagine, someone mad with grief. I was someone's darling once, not my mother's, never my mother's. I don't know who else tends this memorial. Our secret society is secret even to its members. I can simply tell I'm not the only one. I keep hoping I'll find someone here, someone to commiserate with. Yes, I've been that lonely. But that day, I remember it clearly, a Sunday morning in late September, 8 a.m. I'm patting the earth around a cluster of California asters, Carethrogen filigifolio. I try and plant indigenous flowers here. They last longer than in exotics and a lot longer than cut flowers. When I hear a car approaching. Early Sunday mornings, not many vehicles pass on this isolated coast road, which is why I usually come at this hour. But the car doesn't drive past. I feel rather than hear it stop behind me as I kneel, the heat of the engine warming my back. It's our usual balmy September, but there's still a chill in the air, a promise of rain. The weather here predictable for its unpredictability. So you're the one, I hear, a female voice, a wisp of melody, an uplift at the end of the sentence so it sounds like a question. I don't turn, but continue tamping down the soil around the base of the asters. Just one of many, I say, finally. I don't want to acknowledge the person or persons in the car or encourage them. No one who understands the significance of the shrine, who truly gets it, would approach in such a way. You make quite a startling picture. This time it's a man's voice, deep. He sounds older than the woman, perhaps even robbing the cradle older, given the youth and music in the female voice. I still don't look and I don't answer, and so the reverberations from the idling car are the only sounds for a few moments. I know it's coming, and yes, here it is from the woman. Can we take your photo? This happens a lot. Don't assume anything. I'm not any beauty. It's the hair, a shade of red that makes people stare, makes them ask, sometimes quite rudely, if it's real. I wear it straight and long, and today it's loose down my back, and I know, dramatic. Recent DNA studies in Ireland have determined that all red-haired people are descended from one person, another exclusive society to which I belong. I like that. Although I'm not enamored with the fuss people make about the hair. Whether I'm at work in the greenhouse or walking on the beach, people surreptitiously lift up their cell phones, snap pictures. Annoying, intrusive. As I age, this hair will become a problem. I won't be able to simply color it out of a bottle the way brunettes or blondes can. I'm likely to look like a crone much earlier in life, gray streaks that will be impossible to erase without tinting my hair a clearly artificial color. It seems a silly thing to worry about, but worry I do. I suppose that gives away a certain shallowness on my part. So be it. My name is Amy. I am 24 years old, and I've banished myself to this lonely coast as punishment for my many sins. I sigh and answer the woman without turning around. I'm going to continue what I'm doing, I said, and I'd rather you just left. I leave unsaid, but I can't control what you do. Still, they must think the same thing because they don't depart, even though I hear nothing but silence. The car continues to idle. I imagine him, it would be him, pulling out the digital camera, focusing it, trying to frame me against the memorial, against the pale yellow pampas grass that encroaches wild everywhere and down here and down the coast, displacing our precious native flora. Finally, the man's voice again. Okay, we're leaving. Oh, Amit, I hear, then amid laughter from the woman. Greeter of death, eater of hearts, we do you homage. That finally makes me look. A silver late model Mercedes, the kind with a big hood and a long trunk. The woman is driving. Given that my assumption that the man was an older, paternalistic lover, this surprises me. I found out later that Edward, the man, hates to drive. He also hates to be driven, but accepts that as the reality of life here where the distances are long and public transportation inconvenient. I can only see the woman as she leans out the driver's side window, the side closest to me, and studies the memorial. I nearly forget to breathe. She has a face that would heal wounds. Tawny skin, high cheekbones, very dark, coarse, wavy hair. Deep brown black eyes nearly closed in laughter as she responds to what the man has just said. A hint of sadness, the way the lines around her eyes crease downward. A dark angel. Don't mind him, he's a classicist, and you do make for quite a startling image against the grave there. It's not a grave, it's a memorial, I say, and turn back to the flowers. I'm afraid of what might show in my face. I hear a faint "keep up the good work" called as the car moves on. And that is how it begins. Thank you.